In my opinion, KoRn saved the 7-string business for Ibanez, and hence maybe even saved the 7-string guitar. Hello, my name is Michał and this is EB Register. Welcome on my journey to document every Ibanez guitar ever made. If you're new here, do not hesitate to subscribe to not miss any bit of that journey. And today we're looking at the APEX2, signature model of Munky of the band KoRn. But first let's check how we got to this point, because this is not his first signature. Ibanez is the company that first mass-produced 7-string guitars, and the first model in regular production, although I wouldn't call mass production, was Steve Vai's signature's Ibanez Universe. It was produced in the early 90s. The production stopped around mid-90s, I think 94 or 95, mostly due to low demand. They were quite expensive and 7-string guitar wasn't that popular back then. But then a couple years later, two gentlemen, nicknamed Head and Munky, playing for the band KoRn, were seen playing those universes. They were downtuned to A, which contributed into this very characteristic low crunchy sound of the KoRn. And they were exploding in popularity, and people saw those 7-string guitars with Ibanez brand on the headstock. And when you look at some of the old interviews with Head and Munky, they tell us stories how they were like scavenging pawn shops and other places to find more of those 7-string guitars, because, you know, when you tour, guitars get used and sometimes abused and damaged and so on.
The band started to take off. We were about to hit the road and I needed another guitar. I went through the recycler and found another guitar. Actually, Steve Vai had signed the back, so I was like, whoa, this is really cool. Another one of those moments like, this is so meant to be. It was then that I was like, we have to call this company, like, because we need more guitars.
And of course Ibanez noticed this and endorsed the band. Initially they were playing Ibanez RG7 620, which was first regular non-signature model in production by Ibanez. And in early 2000s, I think it was 2001, they got their own signature. It was called K7. It was available in two colors, Fire Sparkle Blue and gray. In many ways it was just modified 7620. There were a few differences. It had mahogany body instead of basswood, PAF7 pickups from DiMarzio, and this interesting contraption on the low pro edge called the U-bar that prevented from pressing on the microtuners. It gets a lot of hate as a kind of unnecessary gimmick. So even though KoRn is quite often mocked maybe for not, you know, using the full ability of the guitar and not being especially guitar virtuosos, I personally think they saved the 7-string business for Ibanez, and hence maybe even saved the 7-string guitar, because they came with their popularity and playing those instruments just at the right time to bring back and pump up that interest. And then later on Ibanez moved to the 8-strings with Meshuggah, and also was the first company that produced 9-string guitars. So there's a long tradition in Ibanez of those extended range guitars. So let me know in the comment, what do you think about KoRn, and are there any other like 7-8-string guitar bands that you like? In 2005 Head parted ways with KoRn, and I think he even stopped doing music for some time. So Ibanez introduced a new series just for Munky, and it was called Apex. And the first two models of the Apex series was APEX1, that, looking at the specification, was very similar to K7. Was a high-end Japanese guitar, had two humbuckers, and had only like some small visual differences from the K7. It used a different finish, different inlay, but otherwise it was very much the same guitar. APEX2 I got here was made in Indonesia, and this is a way more affordable guitar. There were a few other models in the Apex series in following years. The newest one being APEX30, introduced this year, 2020. It supports Evertune bridge, which is like one of the first Ibanez guitars having Evertune bridge installed. In 2014, when Head came back to music and basically rejoined KoRn, he also got a new model from Ibanez. It was RGD based Comrade 20. He was having them for a couple of years and then he moved to Jackson guitars. But today we're focusing on the APEX2. Serial number, it's I1102-00545, which basically means it's made in Indonesia, February 2011. 545th guitar produced in that month. It shares a lot of features with the K7 and APEX1. It's still mahogany body in the RG shaped, bolt on to the 5-piece maple walnut neck. It has the same profile like later K7s and APEX1. K7 changed the profile I think 2 or 3 times during its short 6 years history. The last one they came with continued to the APEX series and it stayed like that pretty much. So it's 19mm thick at the 1st fret and 21 at the 12th fret. 48mm at the nut and 68mm at the pocket. 400mm radius. It's again rosewood fretboard, 24 frets. There's a plastic nut, well fit. It doesn't stick out in any way, like for example it didn't sit very well in my MMM1. PAF7 pickups and the simple controls, 3-way switch, volume, no tone knob. But there's something different about it. I don't see a U-bore here. I don't even see a trem. It's a fixed bridge and it's not like Gibraltar type of bridge that you can quite often see on like metal focused RGs. This is very like Gibson like, basically tunematic type of bridge. And this specific bridge is called Tone Pro 7. It's manufactured by the company called Tone Pro Sound Lab. So it doesn't have any anchor for the strings, it's just a bridge and the strings are locked in the ferrules going through the body. It basically has a small root that allows this bridge to go a bit deeper into the body. Small inserts that are glued into the body. And then you have those screws with thumb wheels, and also you can use a screwdriver to regulate how high or low bridge sits, so you can impact the action this way. Very simple, very effective, but also it looks kind of weird or RG type guitar. At least not something we're used to. From playing a few hours on this guitar, I get a feeling it just doesn't pack such a punch as having like heavy trem or a heavy type of bridge. But I don't know, maybe it's more subjective. The hardware color is Powder Cosmo, which is similar to Cosmo Black, but it's kind of a bit more maybe satin looking. The finish on this guitar is called Green Shadow Flat, and it's this kind of military green olive drab color, flat matte finish. But of course, as always with those type of finishes, when you start rubbing at it with with your palms and so on, and places when your arms are moving, it gets like kind of polished, so you can see, especially if you look against the light, that there are a few more glossy spots in this guitar over the pickup, between the pickups, around the volume knob and so on, in some places in the back. So it's definitely been played. Also when I bought it, it had like really nasty hardware. It was like greasy and dirty and so on. I managed to clean it up a bit, but it's still not perfect. You can see some discoloration on it. But apart from that, the guitar is in pretty decent condition. Just some cosmetic issues, but no bigger dings or wood chips and so on. The neck is straight, also no dings, no pocket cracks, everything looks good. It comes with a square wooden Ibanez case. I think it's a W200C model. It's quite heavy, but it's a very nice case. has this nice embroidered Ibanez logo. RG guitar seats very nice inside it, so it has 3 latches, solid handle, very nice case, although quite heavy. I prefer those plastic molded cases because they're relatively light, give the same level of protection. Very nice guitar, fun to play, you don't have any headaches of having the tremolo. 2 humbuckers, very simple controls. This is the kind of stuff I like. Alright, that's all about this APEX2 guitar. Signature for Munky from KoRn. If you're interested in another signature model I talked about, I suggest you check the MTM2 video. This is just another kind of budget signature of a metal player, this time Mick Thompson from Slipknot. Thank you for watching and see you in another chapter of documenting every Ibanez guitar ever made. See ya!